grazie a tutti e benvenuti a questa chiacchierata che faremo stasera con Enes Kanter.
Well, good evening. Welcome. We are here to have a talk with Enes Kanter. Now, who is Enes Kanter? In Italy, almost everybody, at least people who are very fond of sports and basketball, do know him. He is a person who is stateless, means he has no nationality, and that didn't happen because his country was dissolved like the former Soviet Union. Turkey, his home country, cancelled simply his citizenship because the Turkish government decided to work against him and his family. So there were even, when, if I understood properly, his father has been jailed for several years. So what did he do that was so tremendous to have such severe sanctions on him? Is he a unionist? Is he an activist? What did he? Did he kill somebody? No. He is simply an NBA player and was treated like this. Now, he had strong limitations in his liberty and in his rights. So we would like to talk to him and hear what his experience is, this experience of resistance, because Erdogan, the Turkish president, worked against him and his family. The question was like, we wanted to talk to you, so to hear about your experience with what happened due to the Turkish president and all what happened to your family.
Alla sua vita e per ritorsione a quelle dei suoi familiari. A te, Enes.
I'll just start with thank you for having me. It's definitely an honor to speak with you guys and with to your audience. You know, I'm a basketball player, but I'm not just, you know, I want to be more than just a basketball player. These issues, these problems have started to happen in my home country, Turkey, back in 2013. There was a corruption scandal happened in Turkey, and President Erdogan, his family, and some of the congressmen in Turkey was involved in it. That was the first time I went out there and said something about it, you know, and tweet something about it. And I saw a power of even one tweet. And I was like, just because of the platform, it became a conversation here in the United States and Turkey. So for me, it was very important to be the voice of all those innocent people out there. I started to pay attention to the details more and more, what's going on. And, you know, just the more I learned, the more I felt like I need to go out there and speak. You know, because of the platform that, you know, the God gave me, I was like, I cannot just stop. I cannot just stop talking about the issues. The basketball is just a tool for me to, you know, gain more power to talk about all these issues. And, you know, the more I learned, the more my heart was getting broken because I learned about all the human rights violations. I learned about all the political prisoners and journalists in the jails and stuff. And it did broke my heart. But I'm just very thankful that God gave me this opportunity and platform to talk about what's important.
Io voglio davvero ringraziarti molto, per aver condiviso con me, ma ovviamente con tutti noi, le tue esperienze intime, le tue esperienze personali.
First of all, thank you very much. It's a great honor for me and for all of us to hear about your experience. And we are also very grateful because we do know that when you talk about something you have lived, then you like relive it once again. This can also be very emotional. And what I very much like to see is in your eyes and in everything you say, that you want to continue fighting against this situation. And I'm convinced because as far as we have news from Istanbul, it seems that something in the country is changing. There are examples of people fighting, of people opposing resistance. And when I only think about the students that are now in Turkey in the streets and with all the problems they do have, they are there since a month, and they did something unbelievable for us. This was very touching for people living in Italy, because at a certain point they started to sing a typical song of the resistance against the Nazis at that time, which is Bella Ciao, and all the students there were singing it. And it's very important. We have to consider and also remember that these students are there now for a month, so they are fighting really for their rights. And even if police is hitting them and they do really worse things with them, and Erdogan is considering them as terrorists, like he always does with people he does not like, I have a little bit the impression that we are like at the time of the Taksim Square, that we are going a little bit in that direction. And obviously, we have to speak out in this situation, even if there is violence against people. And then I would like shortly also hear about what you have to say about the last elections in Istanbul, and not only in Istanbul, in Turkey, because it seems that from this election there's also a slight hope, and maybe things can change a little bit at least.
E vorrei conoscere, ecco, il tuo parere su quello che sta accadendo in queste ore a proposito degli studenti, delle manifestazioni e appunto delle elezioni, le ultime elezioni amministrative.
Well, I will start with the elections. I think it was like I remember it was like a year or a couple years ago, Erdogan and his party lost the elections in three major cities: Istanbul, Ankara, to the capital, and also Izmir. And that shows that there is a hope. That shows that people are changing. That shows that there are so many people out there are educating themselves, because unfortunately Erdogan is controls the media in Turkey and brainwashes people, and whichever media outlet, whichever newspaper or TV station are against the Turkish government, Erdogan will come and shut down everything and take over. So that is, first of all, that is not acceptable. The second thing is when he lost the mayoral election in Istanbul, the biggest city and the most important city in Turkey, he said, I'm not counting this. We have to redo the election. And people of Turkey said this is pure dictatorship. This is not acceptable. And he did the re-election and he lost it even a bigger number. So for me, it is so amazing to see more people are now standing up against the Turkish government. Right now, you see there are so many athletes, so many actors or rappers, singers are standing up against the Erdogan. And one thing made me so happy and give me so much hope and motivation for the future when I see our young generation are educating themselves and standing up for what's right. Like you guys said, every week Erdogan regime are labeling one group as terrorists, but it is, for me, when they label the students in Boğaziçi, which is the best university in Turkey, labeled as terrorists, the students did not care. They wanted to protest and fight for their right. And that shows that they're started to educate themselves. More outside of Turkey, people know what kind of regime the Erdogan's regime is. But in Turkey, just because of the media, just because of Erdogan uses religion to brainwash people. It is so hard to see. But now, because of all this, all the social media outlets, all the Twitters or Instagram or the Clubhouse, many of the other social media accounts, people are finally started to see what is really going on, and that gives me so much hope for my country, because Turkey could have be the bridge of Islam and West. But just because of all these problems are happening in Turkey right now, it is not possible. So I feel like we need to educate our youth so they can stand up and fight for their right.
Grazie davvero Enes per averci anche...
Well, thank you, and Enes, for sharing this with us, and for mentioning the amount of vitality that there is in Turkey at the moment. And this is one in Turkey and in all the cities that you mentioned earlier. And you introduced a series of topics that I would like to discuss with you and ask you your opinion about them. First of all, you talked about the role of Turkey as a bridge, and this is something I wanted to ask you about. What are the relations between Turkey and the world, and in particular, how are the relations between Turkey and the West in particular, and Europe as well in particular? And you certainly recall the contention that arose in the earlier months, and the very strong and fiery words that were uttered by Erdogan against Europe, and in particular against France, countries such as France. I believe that there is a will somehow to escalate the climate of the relations between Turkey and Europe, and we know that we know that France was the victim of many terrorist actions perpetrated, and we know that Erdogan's words are not something that is meant to make them more, to make these relations between Turkey and Europe very serene. What is your opinion about these words that were addressed? Were they? Do you think that they were actually addressed to Turkish citizens? That perhaps sometimes when these kinds of words are addressed, they are sort of a domestic strategy addressed to the citizens of Turkey to cover somehow the weaknesses of the Turkish rule, and the elections were witnessed that. And we already saw many times that, and probably also to hide, these words were uttered to hide the economic difficulties as well that Turkey is having. And we have already seen many times that when there are difficulties, that there's this strategy that is addressed to avoid confrontation and to start giving and when these words are uttered, the words of fire may become actual fires. Do you think that Erdogan's words against the West is a way to perhaps secure the power of Turkey against the great powers of the world?
Well, let me just start with this. There are so many young generation in Turkey are growing up with Erdogan's hate speeches. and this young generation in Turkey are growing up anti-West and anti-Semitic, and that is, first of all, that is not acceptable. Just because of Erdogan wants to, gain more power in the country, and he is going out there and talking against the whole Europe and West, and so he's only doing this for show to and also brainwash people in Turkey. You know, that is one. And the Turkish relationship between world and Europe, it is very sad because, like I said again, Turkey could be the bridge of Islam and Europe and West, but just because of things are right now is happening over there, it's impossible. Um, if you look at what happened the last few months, Erdogan just let me just give you guys an example. Erdogan turned Hagia Sophia into a mosque, and it was a United Nation heritage, and that is not acceptable. You know, I know that area, and that around that area there are so many mosques that they are not even half full. You know, they are not even half full. So Erdogan is just changing another United Nation heritage to a mosque, so to gain more power and to gain more votes to upcoming election in 2023. And so it just, like I said again, everyone is trying to brainwash people, but it is not going to work in European countries. And the other thing that Erdogan does is threatening the Europe, which Erdogan, you guys can find this speech online, that Erdogan is saying, um, if the Europe countries don't listen what I have to say, I am going to let 3.5 million refugees go to Europe, you know, and obviously Europe don't want that, you know, and so that basically Erdogan threatens the European countries. And then the last couple of months, I saw the Erdogan speeches against the president of France and many other countries, and it just sad because Erdogan is so right now, just because of there are so many attacks are happening because of Erdogan's speeches. Erdogan just said it, and you guys can find the internet video online that the people in Europe not going to be able to walk freely on the streets. And after that speech, a week later, there was a terrorist attack happened in one of the countries in Europe. So I feel like people like important people like European Union, NATO, maybe the important organization needs to step up and do something about it. So right now the things are happening over there is heartbreaking, and people are saying, why is Turkey so important? It is important because it affects the whole Middle East. It affects the whole Middle East, and that is not acceptable. So that's why I feel like European Union or NATO or European Council will step in and do something about it. And sometimes everyone blaming or doing this kind of hate speeches to cover up the economy, because you look at economy right now in Turkey, it's going down, it's breaking down. So that's why I feel like I feel like people need to see the reality, and I'm just glad that people outside of Turkey are seeing this reality. But I just want people to take some actions, because you cannot deal with dictators with soft talk. You have to you have to take some actions. So I hope that Europe finally will do something about it and start taking some actions.
Io trovo questo dialogo e questa discussione molto interessante e anche molto stimolante. Io non voglio essere
Thank you, Enes. I believe that this dialogue, this discussion that we are having this evening is extremely stimulating, and I don't want to sound too reluctant, but I believe that there are responsibilities as European Union. I, as you know, am a member of the European Parliament, and I think that sometimes the attitude, the response that the European Union has given to these issues has been sometimes shy, sometimes lazy, and so in the European institutions, I think that should react in more to these Turkish issues. And for example, just to mention a few of these issues, there has been some embarrassment about the issue of migrants, of the refugees, and the relations between Turkey and the relations between Turkey and Syria. Turkey has been sort of a buffer between Syria and the European Union, and there are also the Balkan routes and the tragedy that happened in 2015. And there's a need to welcome all those people that just because they express their opinions, they put at risk their physical integrity and their moral integrity. And all of these issues, I think that are going to be on the agenda, on the preparatory works of the European Council meeting on the relations between European Union and Turkey. And I hope that this talk that we are having right now can be taken as a stimulus to unveil certain issues and to understand that the role of this country is crucial, and because of Turkey's past and present history, and as you were saying, because of the role as a bridge that Turkey can play towards Europe. And the post-pandemic world has certainly put a halt to globalization, but I believe that this will have an impact on supply chains, especially the short supply chains, such as the cultural ones, the economic ones, and the commercial ones, commercial, economic, and cultural ones. And Europe will be forced, but I hope that it will be Europe's choice to know that when there are different issues, that it will have to take a different approach towards the conflicts in Syria, in Libya, and consider all these parts of the Mediterranean and the Middle East as a big condominium, so to speak, where the strength and the beauty of Turkey must be something that brings us closer, that brings Turkey closer to Europe. And I hope that we as Europe will come closer to your way of seeing the Turkish situation. And in the next few weeks, these important issues will be discussed, and I think that the relations between Europe and Turkey will be rewritten according to these new elements. And I think that we must take into account the fact that people like you, just because they denounce and they deplore the lack of freedom, and they point out the lack of freedom that there is in Turkey, and because of that, they are submitted to the fury of the regime, and they must be helped. People like you must be helped, and I hope that the strong humanitarian issues will be these humanitarian issues have been all too often forgotten, and I hope that it will not be the case.
La possibilità di affrontare le questioni umanitarie, perché troppo spesso così purtroppo non è stato.
Well, let me just tell you this. I really appreciate it. You know, it's definitely important because what happens in Turkey, it affects whole Middle East and Europe, and it is very important for European organizations to take action and help those people over there. You look at right now, there are so many. You know, Turkey is the #1 country in the world that put most journalists in jail. You know, that is one. And right now, there are so many innocent women and so many innocent kids are growing up in jails right now just because of their political views. And you look at these reports, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Human Rights Foundation, that these people are in the jail right now, are suffering and getting tortured. So needs to step up and do something about it. And right, you look at Turkey right now, there is no freedom of speech, freedom of religion, or freedom of expression. There is no democracy. And Turkish government using their power to abuse red notice system. So if you're in Turkey and if you talk against the government, there is a high chance that you'll be in jail. But if you're outside of Turkey, there is a big chance that your name will be on Interpol list and they will try to deport you back to Turkey. And so that is not acceptable. So right now, I want to thank many of the European countries because just because of Erdogan's pressure, there are so many families and so many innocent people are escaping Turkey and going to these EU countries like Greece, like Germany, like Netherlands, and many other countries. And these countries opening their arm and giving them a warm welcome from day one, you know. But you know, these people are high-level academics. These people are very famous journalists and very talented, you know, professors and doctors. But what I want to see from Europe is, you know, take actions because it is so important. Like I said again, you cannot deal with dictators with a soft talk. We have to take actions, and we have to do what we're supposed to do to help all those innocent people out there who don't have a voice.
Grazie molte Enes, per concludere, perché non ti vogliamo nemmeno rubare troppo tempo, ti avevamo promesso una chiacchierata di poco più di un'ora che abbiamo già sforato, perché appunto gli argomenti sono tanti ed è bello affrontarli insieme, perché poi devo dire che le tue parole sono davvero un rimedio alla stanchezza, una cura all'indifferenza e anche all'impotenza di fronte alle...
So thank you very much. I would like to come also to a conclusion because we asked you for 1 hour and we are already talking longer because everything is so interesting. It is important to hear your words, and it is also very important that we don't lose interest in what other people are fighting for and are asking for. And now I'm even more determined than before because I don't want to hear all these rhetorical things anymore. I'm really tired of that. Maybe you remember there were this famous photo of women, Kurdish women fighting against Daesh, and everybody was posting this photo on Instagram and Facebook, and there was a big solidarity. And then all this has been ruined by people like Erdogan in just a few months. Nobody is thinking about this anymore. And I'm also tired of seeing Istanbul, such a interesting and nice city, being even more poor than before, suffering with violence, with oppression. and everybody should know what happened and what is still happening. We need to bring people nearer and not far away from each other, and we also have to give a sign that we want to hold up to freedom and to the guarantees people should have. It is not acceptable that we still have journalists and writers, for example, that are in jail. And well, for this, I would also like to see you, for example, to have the opportunity to travel to your home country, to see your family, and maybe to play a little bit of basketball with them just in the courtyard. And your words are really something that helps against the indifference we see. And this is a reason, it's also a lesson for the 27 European countries to do something to fight for the freedom of other people. And otherwise, if we don't do this, that this would be really short-eyed, and the problems in the Mediterranean area would get still worse than they are already right now. So it's very important, and I hope that this will also help in this question with Turkey.
Di non sacrificare la libertà altrui per il proprio benessere, non solo perché banalmente ingiusto, ma anche perché, lasciami dire, è assolutamente miope. Miope perché ce lo dimostrano le continue aggressioni nel Mediterraneo, i continui problemi appunto nell'Egeo. E allora è pacifico, si possono sostenere lotte di resistenza senza ingerenza, ma lasciami dire, Enes, e concludo davvero, che forse qui l'unica vera ingerenza è aver sostenuto nell'indifferenza placidamente che si arrivasse fino a questo punto in Turchia.
Your support gives me so much hope. Not just me, but your support gives me so much hope for millions of people around the world who are innocent and waiting for help. You know, because it gives us so much hope and motivation to see that we are not in this fight alone. You know, because I'm just a basketball player. You know, I'm not a politician, I'm not a journalist. And also, this is my second language. So I'm trying to do the best I can to bring awareness of what's going on in my home country, Turkey. A lot of people are telling me stay away from politics, but what I'm doing is not politics. What I'm doing is human rights. What I'm doing is trying to help those people over there who don't have a voice, you know? But I think whenever I see people that, you know, just try to help me this much, it gives me, like I said again, so much hope and motivation to fight. And right now there are so many political prisoners in jail, and they're in a very tough situation. Some of them are very famous names like Mr. Kavala and Mr. Demirtas, that America just asked for their release recently. Just yesterday, State Department just asked to release Mr. Osman Kavala's release just yesterday, you know? So this is just only like two of them. There are thousands of people just because of their political views are suffering. But I think, you know, it just gives me and gives many of the people all around the world so much hope. But like I said again, I hope that the European organizations will step in and take some actions, not just talk to dictators softly. But yeah, all I can say is I appreciate it. All I can say is thank you from bottom of my heart. This was amazing for sure.
Grazie a tutti. Allora,
so once again, thank you all. Thank you to all the people that stayed with us tonight for this talk this evening. It was a really important and also empathetic discussion, and thank you once again.